Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. We have a great session lined up for you today. Before we get started, there are just a few general housekeeping points to cover. First and foremost, please use the online question tool to post any questions that you have, and we will share them with our speakers. Second, if you experience any technical difficulties today, please use the same question tool and a member of our admin team will be on hand to support you. And finally, just to note, this session is being recorded and we'll be sharing a copy of the recording with you via email in the coming days. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to our speakers to get us started.
Hello and good morning, everybody. Thank you for taking your time to be here with us for the upcoming 45 minutes. And if we have some good questions, maybe up to the hour. Today, we're going to talk about some trends and our latest report that Wolters Kluwer has done. I'm not going to do that alone. I'm just not able to. My name is Jeffrey. I'll be the moderator for this webinar today. And for the last 5 years, I have been the marketing manager within Wolters Kluwer. To support one of my favorite colleagues, I've chosen 3 to be here present. The first I would like you to introduce you to is Margot, I think one of my favorite colleagues in the UK. I think she has been in the legal tech industry for quite a while. Originally started with Della, a company that we acquired, and now she knows everything about the legal tech market in the UK, but also in Europe. My favorite colleague from David, definitely, I think one of my favorites in Spain is David. He is the account manager over there, has a good overview on everything is happening that is in the Spanish market. And then we have Simon, my beloved French colleague, who has been around for quite a while, and he knows a lot of things. So hopefully we can pick his brain and he can tell us a little bit about what he finds in his daily conversations. So first things first, we do 2 slides about the demographics of the report. It's one of the reports we now are doing for the 2nd time in a year, and it's called the Legisway, a benchmark for European legal departments. If we look, where do the people come from that participate in the study? Overall, we had close to 400 legal departments participating in our study. It resulted in 340 fully completed surveys. And then the people that joined mainly came from 3 pillars in Europe, not surprisingly: France, merci, Germany, danke, United Kingdom. Thank you for participating in this survey. This is a bit of the overview where the people are located. And then if we look at the teams, how is the size of them? So overall, I think over 60% is located in a department which has up to 10 personnel, with the big pillar, the big movement into the 2 to 5. Everybody in here in this chat, thank you for joining our webinar. Please let me know in the chat if this is also your team size, and hopefully the answers we will show later on represent you well enough. I think that's about it. I think we can go into one of the first questions we ask in the survey, and that is, do you have an annual budget dedicated for purchasing technology tools and services? A good thing about doing something in 2023 and doing something in 2024 is that you can compare. That's a lovely thing. So my first eye is a little bit on, okay, last year we had 38% has said, I do not have any dedicated budget. This year it's 30%. So we see an 8% increase in people that actually have a budget, which from our perspective is a good thing. We can also see that the number of people having a larger budget above 20,000 euro is also increasing. So let's have the people involved. How do you feel about these numbers? David, could you tell me a little bit about your vision?
Sure, Jeffrey, thank you. I think it's a very positive change. Legal departments are increasingly seen as business departments, not so much as spending departments. Our responsibility within the corporate legal department must be to generate benefits for the company, benefits by managing contract renewals on time, negotiating more quickly and more efficiently with our counterpart, or proactively detecting risk in order to prevent them from occurring. Therefore, it is essential to provide corporate legal departments with appropriate tools to help in this creation of value for the company.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. Thank you. Margot, if we look at the departments that have been growing from more of a budget above 21K, that number went from 18% to 25. That's quite a good increase on people, on departments with a bigger budget. What do you think when you see these numbers?
Yeah, I think it's a very beautiful and big jump from one year to another, especially, and it's fantastic results for two reasons. One, there is a clear shift in need for legal tech solutions and more importance given to legal departments. So really two important aspects, one for us, one for legal departments. What it means is that legal departments, quite closely to what David said, are gaining position in the central team and being seen more as a strategic partners for the business. There is a value that is being now associated with legal department beyond only reading and reviewing contracts. And the more value they seem to deliver or attract, the more money they will probably get. It's as clear as this one, but these two clear reasons should definitely stick, because that means there is more power associated with legal departments, which is great to see, because they are responsible for liabilities, they're responsible for a lot of money in the business, but it has never been so appreciated.
Well, hopefully all the viewers feel appreciated as well. If not, call us. We can work on some things. And later today, we're also going to talk about KPIs. And I think that is a very interesting topic for this survey of the year. But with budget, with life in general, there are also pain points. This was one of the questions that is also returning each year. We give some pain points, and the legal departments are able to rate them. These are the results of this year. On top, dealing with increasing workload. I question, is this something purely dedicated to legal departments, but maybe it's also visible in sales or in marketing? So if we have a closer look, the workload remains an issue by the looks of it. Simon, what do you hear in your daily conversations with legal departments? How is this topic being handled?
Thank you, Jeffrey. Actually, it's a story that we've been hearing for a long time. And it's the same 4 words. It's do more with less. So actually, because even if budgets are on the rise, even if CLDs are considered and more acknowledged now as business partners, just like David said a bit earlier, the workload is also on the rise because there are more regulations to comply with, because there are more processes to comply with. And actually, that's why I think CLDs, corporate legal departments, need to be tooled up for this challenge. For instance, so talking about France, and you had the numbers a bit earlier. One legal department out of 5 is a one-man show. It's usually a one-woman show because there's a lot of women in legal departments in France, and they have to deal with all aspects of legal work. So, which means contracts, it means corporate duties, of course, it means litigations. And the thing is that when companies grow, the legal department is the last one to be created. So you create a sales department, that will be your first, marketing department, and then it's only when you have no choice that you create a legal department, basically. And that's why also any anyone starting a legal department in any company starts with a huge debt. So it's here really for, I think, for corporate legal departments about focusing on high value tasks. And this is why, and it's not even about technology. You do not have to use technology to focus on value tasks, but technology will definitely help.
Thank you for that insight. If we get back to the results, there was also one very surprisingly, to me at least, and that is getting stakeholder buy-in on the bottom of pain points. So apparently, for me, it seems pretty low. It doesn't seem like a pain point. Why is that, do you think, Simon?
It was also kind of a surprise to me. Of course, every legal department knows that a legal department is not an island. You have to work with your colleagues, so you have to get them on board. You have to onboard them. So if you want, for instance, salespeople to, I don't know, store their own contracts in your system, if you want them to generate the contracts you use with your templates, you have to get them in. So maybe my point here is that first, when you want to onboard them, you need to do it in a controlled environment. And my second insight would be that maybe it's because all the other pain points are so massive that they obliterate maybe what could be key also in a perfect world. So maybe if that could be also an explanation.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious what you all of our participants think of that point. Feel free to shed some light on it. If we move on to one of the next questions we ask in the survey, it's the one: what improvements do you plan to make to your organization in the process over the next 3 years? So we have a couple of processes lined out, and then the light blue is always the most dominant one. It was the last year as well. It's planning to improve. And I actually had the idea to name the benchmark the planning to improve department, the legal department. Some people stop me from doing that. But for me, it's an interesting thing. The legal departments always want to improve. And sometimes one of the most things that stand out is collecting, organizing, and retrieving legal information. It's the number one in terms of, okay, this is the process we are planning to improve. Margot, why does this process keeps getting scored so high?
I think that this is a clear change of circumstances that we are observing and the direction that we are heading in, and what really is of value now. So if you think of what was of value 50 years ago, you would say knowledge. That was the key. Knowledge now is so easily accessible. Its value clearly diminished. So additionally, the volume of information, the detail is so high now, it's much, much higher than 50 years ago. So it's almost impossible to get that in your head and know where things are. So being able to store it well and retrieve it quickly is really the key, because people want to know what's happening, but with the amount of information, it's impossible to do so in a concise and easy manner. So fantastic to see that there is a paradigm shift towards organizations and what could be better than using tools for it, right? So previously it was exciting to have knowledge and it was in demand, but now being able to retrieve it, I guess, gives you the top marks nowadays. Gladly, we don't have to do it manually, right? So using tech for it is definitely a key to success. So I think having that as one of the top results is clear as the shift in the market.
Yeah, and I think that's an important one as well. For me, this always feels like a first step. If you want to reduce risk, you should know what risk there is. And apparently Wolters Kluwer sells great tools to do so. Yeah, but that's for another webinar. One of the topics that also is on the rise, as always, legal operations. So we have a nice split between some of the main countries we conducted the survey in. 52 still says no. 42 inmiddels has a person. It doesn't have to be a full-time, it can also be a part-time function, but somebody dedicated to legal operations. Still on the rise. David, if we look in the Spanish market, what do you see? What do you reckon?
Indeed, Jeffrey, legal operations and specifically the role of the head of legal operation are becoming essential in this process of evolution of growing we are talking about. We need to be more efficient, more productive, and it is essential that we establish processes and methodologies that help us achieve this. I think it's something very similar to what we experienced in sales departments a few years ago with the rise of CRM. Today, no one understands a sales team without procedures, without methodology. And although the position of the head of legal operation, at least in Spain, was more common in large companies with large legal teams, we see that it is spreading to medium and small companies. Even if we think about this small legal teams, 2 to 5 people, the benefit of having a head of legal operation will be very significant. In my opinion, legal operation can make the difference between good and excellent in a corporate legal department.
Okay. Margot, if we look at the UK, is there something you would like to add?
Yeah, so I actually could go on this topic for quite a while because it's quite an important in my view. So the rise of legal operations is of significant benefit for several reasons, and I've been privy to see it firsthand when things in legal departments are going ahead successfully, when there is legal ops, and unfortunately less so when there isn't, because things are being delayed, priorities, and so on. But it's also great to see that the UK is on the lead, in the lead across Europe, a bit behind the US, but that's not part of the statistics. It's just personal experience, but great to see because that makes a true difference for a number of reasons, and one main one is the efficiency. So legal teams definitely need help, and I agree here with David, but they shouldn't help themselves. If I have a problem with my tooth, I go to the dentist, I don't fix teeth myself. I'm not gonna become or learn about dentistry if I have a problem, right? The same for legal departments. I mean, the focus should be on legal job. Legal operations is the same. They focus on streamlining processes, adopting legal technology, and managing cost well, because they know, first of all, about the organization that they work for and should support. And on the other hand, they know the legal technology market. So that's their expertise. And within a very quick analysis, they are able to assess what is suitable for that specific company. So there is a clear match between the need and available solutions if you utilize legal operations. So legal teams can focus on their actual work and no need to learn anything else. And they should be able to focus on what they are best at. Obviously, there are other additional aspects, but I'm not going to dive deeply into them because we don't have that much time. But currently, and that relates a bit to the information retrieval and storage, the data-driven decision-making. This is much more on the rise now. People want to know what's in their contract, be able to report quickly on the information they have. So data-driven decision-making is definitely something legal ops can help with, but also to innovate, to help with admin tasks, get rid of that from the legal teams, and also create stronger collaboration, which again links with what we were talking about earlier, having legal teams gaining that more strategic position in the company and organization.
Thank you. We received some questions from the audience, Margot. If we zoom a little bit in on the legal operations, so what type of professionals are predominant among legal operations officers? What will be your recommendation on their expertise? And thank you for the question, Eliane.
Yeah, so what I see, especially in the UK, I'm not going to speak for France, Spain, or Europe in general, but here a lot of individual, and I personally also come from legal space, so I see a lot of ex-lawyers who were a bit tired, a bit exhausted, with lack of efficiency, who converted and tried to work still within law, but more in the technology space. So I see a lot of lawyers converting. That's one type. Or on the other hand, people who were previously in the IT departments, so supporting IT departments in the a bit old-fashioned way, i.e. supporting the main operations, now are seeing opportunity to support specifically the legal team rather than the whole organization. So they come from a bit more technical engineer background. So these two types of individuals meet as part of the legal ops. But there wouldn't be, I wouldn't say it's predominantly ex-lawyers or predominantly ex-engineers. It's both, because they do, the important information is to understand the company you work for. And then to gain knowledge on what's out on the market in terms of what vendors offer, what technology is out there, and meet it with the need of the legal team is much easier way.
Thank you. Eliana, I hope we were able to answer your question on the spot. If anyone else in the audience have similar questions, different questions to our lovely panel, please feel free to. If we look at the next slide, it's about, is it my first? I'm not sure. It's one thing I would like to talk about. And earlier this year, we launched a research paper, a white paper about KPIs for legal department. And surprisingly, it was quite popular. I think it was one of the most popular campaigns we have done up until this report. And people were very interested in it. And then we started having more conversations. But do you actually have KPIs? Yes, no. Well, the answer is here. 65% says no, I do not have a KPI. And for me, that is very surprisingly, like if you are responsible for budget, from a marketing perspective, I am responsible for a budget. I think you should have KPIs. If you want more budget, I let people, my managers know, these are my KPIs. If we could work on this, then I need more budget. So for me, it should be there. So it was quite surprising. But if we look at people who have it, then what do they have if you have a KPI? So contract quantity is there, internal, external spend makes very much sense to me, but also number of managed litigations and claims. So please let me know in the chat if you have KPIs. No, why not? Should you? I think. But KPIs in your legal department. What do you see with your customers in France, Simon?
That's indeed a very, very good question, because every time I think everyone should want KPIs. It's really fairly easy to say that, because due to usually the lack of tools, most of the legal work is hidden. I mean, you can have an 8-hour contract review hidden in an email, or maybe in the one paragraph of the revision section in a Word document. So a lot of the work that you perform as a lawyer is hidden, and being able to adding KPIs, making your work visible, is a way to make legal shine. It's really a way to get the attention from the C-suite. And unsurprisingly, and that was in your chart, what we see in the chart is the need to track what is most expensive, the legal spend, and what is most time consuming, the contracts and the litigations. And it's always kind of a virtuous circle. The more you create KPIs, the more you are visible, and the more you are able to get budget and means from management. So that's what I think. KPIs are so important, and it's so important for you to be able to measure how you work and how you interact with others using KPIs.
Thank you. I think it's a very good explanation, and I hope every visitor of this webinar goes to their manager and says, next year I want KPIs. That will be a good thing. And I'm looking forward. Well, we could, of course, do not a benchmark without talking about a certain topic. And any certain topic is AI. And then the question was, do you currently use AI in any of your work in your legal department? 57 is on no, 40% is already on yes. I think that's a good number. We see in the UK, it's even a little bit more, it's on 45%. And then if we ask what specific task does AI assist you with? Administrative, that's good. Report generation, a little bit there. And document analysis. Those are the top 3 use cases. 57% on AI. What do you think about these numbers, Margot?
So another great topic, I think, but a lot of hype around it. So I would like to just reset expectation before we start diving into it. AI is currently not at the stage where we are able to achieve 100% of things we want to do. So I think there is a mismatch again on the market, especially if lawyers do not have the time to research but just follow the hype headlines, etc., and they come to meetings with high expectations on AI. So there is definitely a huge interest, there is definitely a possibility, but it's not going to do majority of things on your behalf, especially not the creative and more analytical things. At this moment in time, and great statistics, administrative tasks is something that you should expect AI to help you with. Think about alerts, think about second one, document analysis, where you can really quickly review documents. If you have 40, 60, 80, 100-page document, why would you read it yourself if you are looking just for a few data points? Use AI to help you with finding information quickly. But if you need to do detailed analysis, do not expect AI at this stage to provide you a thorough summary of it. You still have to do it yourself as a lawyer, right? You have to use what you are best at, your intelligence, your analytical thinking and skills. But it's extremely impressive when people are interested in AI and really want to try it out, because we have seen from real life examples that using AI, you are able to save even around 50 to 60% of admin time. So imagine taking away 2 days a week of admin. That is staggering statistics, and that is possible. Imagine not needing to review NDAs for your stakeholders, internal stakeholders. They could do it themselves because they utilize AI, they utilize your knowledge that's built into the technology. That means you don't actually have to focus on that because everything is in control using AI. And that already, think how many NDAs you review. If you review one, that's fine, no bother. But if you do quite a lot of them, that's a significant save on your time. So great to have it, but expectations need to be reset. But definitely admin, definitely contract analysis on the first insight into documents, not full analysis, especially not on complex contracts, is the key to think about it at the moment.
Thank you for those insights, Margot. If anybody in the chat would like to hear more about Margot's vision on AI, she's been for a while with one of our former Della, and now she, I don't know, in the UK she's selling them like hot sandwiches. So let us know. There was one question remains in: what are the main reasons why your legal department has not adopted AI? And that could be lack of time. That could be not a priority, which I think is a good answer from my point of view. Or it could be lack of budget. If we zoom in on 35% says it's not a priority, it's just a tool. Is it? How do you feel about this, Simon? What do you think?
Maybe David wants to talk about it as well. But the point here is that I think AI is really here to stay because we already see a lot of impact, a lot of business impacts of AI in our current work.
Yeah,
And
yes,
David, what do you think?
I can agree more with Margot and Simon about this. AI is not a topic; it's the topic today, and I'm sure that the AI is here to stay. You are all very young. I would even say offensively young. But I remember the rising of the internet is in the last century. And many people also say that it was not very important, that it was something very focused on leisure or personal relationship, to chat with friends, for example. I heard this type of comment from many senior managers in my own company at that time. And today, we would not understand the world without the internet. So, in my opinion, the most dangerous phrase in business is we've been doing in this way for a long time, and it's worked for us. This is a very dangerous phrase, and that's why we must spend time learning about AI, understanding how AI can help me in my work, how I can be more productive, how I can make fewer mistakes. AI is not our enemy, nor is it a hobby or a game. But as Margot said previously, is not the solution for all our problems. It will not allow us to be on a beach all year round without working. It's just a new work tool that will help us a lot, for sure, but it's not the solution for everything in legal departments.
And I can add to it, I think it links really heavily to what we said before around legal ops role. If there is no legal ops, AI will definitely not be a priority because it is a new tool, it's a new thing, and learning a new thing doesn't matter if it's AI, doesn't matter if it's driving a car, doesn't matter if you want to do dentistry as your second job. It is something that you really have to learn and get used to it. And lawyers' priority is always somewhere else. It is contract, it is fighting risks for the company, it is saving money for and budget for the company and so on. So definitely having the legal ops in on top of what David and Simon said is definitely a link to lack of priority for the tool.
I think that's a good summary so far. If we come closer to the end of our presentation, Simon, you have been here for a while. What do you expect for next year in terms of results?
So we already talked a lot about AI, so I'm not going to talk about AI right now. I think it's about also realizing it's not all about contracts, because we can see the market and the legal tech market has a very high focus on contracts. But if a contract is an achievement on itself, it also relies on a legal company which operates in a regulated environment, which has compliance issues, and the company is represented by individuals who may or may not have the right to sign contracts. And when a contract fails, you have a lot of work down the road because you're going to follow up on the litigation that follows. So I think acknowledging the fact that all legal work matters is going to be a trend next year. That would be my insight.
I think that's a good insight. That's a good insight. Thank you. We have an anonymous attendant. I was not sure that was possible. We have a question about AI. Let's see. Why should our customers keep coming back to us if they can use the same tools we do? That's obviously a risk for lawyers. Margot, is that something you would like to answer? I expect it's not a legal department asking that question, like maybe a lawyer that sneaked in too. What do you think,
Yes.
Margot?
So it really depends how you narrow down your request, if you would like to clarify that a little bit, because if you are part of a law firm and you are afraid of losing customers to AI or someone who is using AI, this is certainly a bit of a risk, because what AI can help with, if you are a law firm, is definitely being able to do a review on a larger scale. If we even talk about some complex aspects such as mergers and acquisition, for example, M&A tasks, then instead of doing a sample of documents review, you can do the whole document review, which minimizes risks. And obviously you are much more prone to be able to give a price associated with your review, which clients really demanded more and more now. So you are in a beneficial position because you can deliver two things that are really important to clients, not to lawyers themselves, but to clients who go to you. But remember, competition is obviously out there. So whoever can beat you will win the deal, right? But if you are thinking of in-house scenario, I'm not sure if this is fully applicable. In that instance, I cannot think of example at the moment, because obviously in-house is much more of a internal matter solver, maybe dealing with legal counsel. So if you mean that maybe the job will be devoted to different legal counsels or handled internally, and you as a external consultant would lose a job to AI, yes, that would be, if that is the case, if that's what you meant, then clearly there is a risk associated with that, because the main intention for in-house legal would be to retain as much work in-house as possible. But let's remember, we are thinking here about a benefit. If imagine turning roles, you are not a lawyer, but you are a customer, whether internal or external. You really want to have things cheaper and faster. So it's not a great thing for lawyers, but the world is going in that direction. If you think about manufacturing companies, they have to deliver faster and cheaper. And so will the lawyers. The lawyers are always the last ones, and that's why we are talking here, because we see that technology is coming to lawyers as the last department in an organization. So it's a natural consequence of this world moving forward to use of technology become more efficient across the board.
Perfect. I think we received the thank you, Margot. My question was for lawyers. So indeed, there was a lawyer in the house, and he was very happy with your answer, Margot. So thank you for that. I understand. Oh, maybe you not have seen the report before. And you thought so many cool graphs and interesting figures. If you scan a QR code, presented here on the right or on the left for you, you will go to the landing page where you can download the actual report with 70 pages of interesting graphs. If you would like to, we will send in the thank you email for participating. We will send the recording of this webinar, but we also will include the reports that are written in Spanish, France, German, and that's it. Those are the languages we have the report on. So in the thank you email, you will receive it as well. But I understand you cannot wait. You want to download it now. That is capable. If we do not receive any questions in the upcoming 30 seconds, we can wait in awkward silence, or you can ask us a good question. And otherwise, I'm going to give you some time back. So we're going to do this awkward silence for 15 seconds, and then hopefully we'll receive one question from you. If not, we give some time back and we say, oh, what a lovely day it's going to be.
But I can also add, if anything arises afterwards, we are all on LinkedIn, so you can always drop us a question if something remains unanswered and kicks in later on.
Margot, why I want to do the awkward silence thing? Why?
Okay, let's do it now.
No more questions, but we received a thank you. And thank you for your questions, and thank you for your time. I hope you have a lovely day. Margot, Simon, David, thank you for your time and helping me out on this webinar. To all attendees, I thank you for your time. I wish you a lovely day. And if you have any other questions, please reach out to us via LinkedIn or via the recap email that you will receive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye for now. Have a
Bye
good
bye.
day.